Hey, well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see so many people here, including some familiar names. So it's like, I hope you can help Claudia in there. Hey. Okay, so let's begin. First part, if you have any questions, please make sure to type a comment in the chat window. The presenters on this, who are me, Julie Malmberg, Eslam, and Matt will be able to see your questions. And this webinar tool does not allow other users to questions, so we'll read them out loud. And to everybody who can't hear me, this won't help you, but people are there. Eslam will be helping people access the phone lines. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat space. And welcome to the Globe International Virtual Science Symposium 2017 Informational Webinar. We are so glad to see you here today. This is me. I am Julie Malmberg. I work at the Globe Implementation Office in Boulder, Colorado, in the United States. I do a lot with education, outreach, and technology. And I also work on the Science Symposium. So again, this is part of my job. So I'm going to go quickly back to this window so Eslam can get the chat or the numbers. Okay. So first up, we have a little poll for you. First off, what is your role in Globe? I saw some students in here, which is wonderful. So go ahead and put in your role there. Looks like we have quite a few educators here, some partners, scientists, global alumni, interested public. This is great. See our results here. It's a lot of educators, which is wonderful. Okay, next poll, your Globe region. And I've seen quite a few people in different regions here, which is great. Okay. The results for that one. Mainly North America. We also have Africa, Europe and Eurasia, and Latin America and Caribbean in here too. Okay. Are you currently using Globe in your classroom? About half and half, a little more no's than yeses. Hopefully that'll change after this webinar. And then also, which area is your investigation sphere? So like if you're doing Globe right now, what area do you focus on? And you can select more than one option for this. Answers are coming in. So it's like a wide variety of areas. The overwhelming one's atmosphere. We also have a lot of hydrosphere and really biosphere and pedosphere on there too. Okay, are you planning on doing a project for the Science Symposium? Yes, no, not sure. Like we have some yeses, a couple no's, and a lot of not sure's. So hopefully those not sure's will get some answers here today and maybe turn into yeses. So why are we here today to talk about the International Virtual Science Symposium? An overview of what this is an online space for students to share and discuss GLOBE research with other students, scientists, GLOBE community members, including alumni, other interested members of the GLOBE community. And it's open to all GLOBE students, grades K through 16, so there's an undergraduate component this year. And we do have scoring guides and rubrics by grade level. And we had our first really big virtual science fair last year, Changing Science Symposium this year. So you can see we had 105 projects last year, which was incredible. And you can see the breakdown of the countries, or the regions here. We're hoping to increase all the region numbers this year and increase the quality of the projects as well. And last year we had, we'll talk about more in a few minutes, we don't have necessarily winners for this of the top prizes. We do have a drawing for all eligible projects, which I'll bring up again in a minute. And here's a list of the ones that actually won the drawing last year and received funds to attend our annual meeting. And these are all linked on the website, which I'll go through here in a few minutes too. So some new things this year. One, it's open to K through 16. So we used to have it just be K through 12, but we had quite a few people who'd like to do undergraduates want to do projects. So we're including undergraduates this year as well. We have a new optional badge, which is Exploring STEM Careers, and we have a later due date, which is April 3rd, 2017. This is all due to community feedback, and we really appreciate hearing from everybody. So if you ever have anything you want to share, please let me know. Then I want to talk about our badges here. So we have each project receives a merit-based student research badge. And regardless of the project, all students earn this. And students earn points to determine the number of stars with it. 4 stars to consider a superior project. And there is no limit to the projects that can earn the top ranking of 4 stars in this badge. Again, all students get a virtual badge and feedback from scientists. We also have optional badges. These are badges that are possible for students to earn. They can earn up to 3 out of the 6 additional badges. And in the report, students will need to describe how each badge is earned in the report document. Matt will talk more about the badges in a few minutes, but I wanted to just do a quick rundown of our 6 badges. And again, students can pick up to 3 badges. So we have collaboration, community impact, connection to a STEM professional, engineering solutions, exploring STEM careers, and interscholastic connection. So collaboration really encourages the students to think about being part of a team and working together, defining roles and so forth. Then community impact has students look at how their local issue led to a research question and then what they can do to their community to help improve it. Then connection to a STEM professional just encourages working with STEM professionals, and that is science, technology, engineering, and math, and also identifying how it enhances student research. Next is engineering solution, and this is finding a solution to a real-world problem by using engineering skills. Then exploring STEM careers. This is understanding how student research relates to STEM careers. So again, what kind of people do the research as adults and so forth. And then interscholastic connection. This describes how students collaborate with other schools or across international lines, internationally collaborate, and how it benefits the research. And again, in a few minutes when Matt goes over the rubrics, we'll talk about this more. So there's also a drawing for projects. So if students earn a 4-star student research badge, or that's considered a superior project, and do at least 2 optional badges, they'll be entered into a drawing. Projects drawn will receive funds to help offset the cost of attending the annual meeting, which will take place in either July or August of 2017. There'll be 4 projects drawn, 2 international and 2 in the US. And I have some pictures here to show students from last year's annual meeting. The top one shows a student sharing her research with Dr. Dixon Butler, who's a very active GLOBE community member, used to be our GLOBE chief scientist. And then on the bottom are some students doing the student research experience. And they actually go experience at the annual meeting separate from the annual meeting, where they can learn about doing research and being out in the environment. Okay. Then how to enter. So each entry needs to include the following components, and these will be described in more detail in the chat session. Looks like we're having some, oh, Eslam's back. Okay, so these are, each part of these have an abstract, a research report, a narrative on each badge completed, a presentation that's either a narrated PowerPoint, a video, or a poster, and also a photo release. And then on the right is an example of a project from last year, where you can see the different components. You can actually click on the organization and link to that one. You can see the GLOBE teacher. The presentation itself is hyperlinked, and then also the research report is hyperlinked. And then at the bottom, you can see some questions and comments from the community. Okay, then we'll have a new upload tool that will be available in early January 2017. And this will be available both on the Science Symposium webpage and also in the student report section. So if you currently want to submit a student report, you can submit one there. But if you want to submit one for the Science Symposium, wait until January. And here's what the tool will look like. This is from last year, and it's changed slightly due to our different badges and also different components on it. But this includes it's like an organization, a teacher, students, contributors, grade level, report title, and so forth. And we had quite a few teachers and students use this last year with no problem, so it seems to be working pretty well. But again, I appreciate feedback when after using it, if you have any problems. Okay, hey Aslam, can you put the call-in number into the chat window, please, again? So the presentations, part of doing science and is sharing your science. So this part is important to communicate science. You can just either via posters, I already mentioned, narrative PowerPoint, or videos. There's a poster template on the website which should help you do a poster. A narrative PowerPoint, to make sure we can actually hear you presenting. And then the video is a fun way for students to share the research as well. Okay, so there is the URL for joining. There you go. Thank you, Islam. And that access code is the same for everyone, regardless of your country. The phone number you call first will change. Here's an example of a poster. You can see students can share their research via the research poster. And again, there's a template available for this. Okay, so resources. I've mentioned this a couple times, and I'm going to mention it a few more times to make sure you're aware of all these things. We have mentor scientists. If you have a question, you can actually contact these scientists and they can help you. Or if you are a scientist and want to volunteer to mentor, there's a form for you to fill out. We also have ways to do scientific process, how to create a research report, a guide to asking questions, different webinars that have either been archived or going to be coming up, and then a whole list of other student reports I've done in the past. And then if you have other things that you need, please let us know. So I'm going to go through the website now so you can see the different parts of the actual part of the website. And I have at the top here a short URL in order to find the Science Symposium website. So the overview page is just that. It's an overview. It includes the goals, the webinars that are happening. We have this one right now and a few others coming up. And then you can also find other information about the Science Symposium. So this is the instructions on how to enter. And these will be updated as needed. And again, you can actually start entering in January 2017. Then we have a whole bunch of resources available. And please check this page out. And if you see anything that you'd like to have added, let me know. But we have links to other virtual conferences, science fairs, and symposiums. Name has changed a couple times over the years. Then we have some resources on how to create a research project. And new this year is we've included how to do citations. We had a lot of students not sure how to do that last year. So citations are a great way to, to share what you've learned about using other resources. And then also a sample research report and tools on how to create a student research report. Then we have tips for preparing a presentation, including some webinars about scientific talks and presenting your results, and then also a poster template to prepare your poster if you're doing that option. Then we have some data resources. These are setting up your data site, entering measurement, and then also retrieving and visualizing your data, and then access to the advanced data access tool. And then we have some upcoming webinars. These include yet to be scheduled, an in-depth look at badges, and then also K through 4 research projects. So we'll have some help on how to do for those lower grades too. And again, those will be announced later. And then we have a whole bunch of archive webinars, including from last year's Science Symposium, and then also some of the regional science fairs that have taken place. So I encourage you to look at those as well. We also have an FAQs page, or frequently asked questions. These are some things that come up when preparing for the Science Symposium. So if you have any questions, let us send us an email. We can also start adding things here too to make sure that we cover all of the project questions. Then if you are a STEM professional, or if you know any that you think would be good for judging or mentoring, this is the place to sign up for that. This is our scientific participation page, and this is again open to all STEM professionals. We really need a lot of help scoring these projects, and also mentoring. So again, if you are a STEM professional or know any who'd be good at this, please share this page. And then we have actually the list of all of the STEM professionals who are willing to mentor as well. It's divided by region, and we're slowly filling them in as we get people volunteering. So if you don't see anybody in your region, check back, might be somebody new, or encourage people from your region to call in, to volunteer for this. Okay, our timeline. So I've mentioned a few of these things already, but we have entries. So Claudia has a great question here. She said, is it possible that young professionals could participate as mentors or to evaluate work? And yes, please encourage young professionals to volunteer as well. It'd be a great resource to the Globe community, as well as hopefully to them as well. So they do not have to be a member of the Globe International STEM Professionals Network in order to volunteer to help this. We really would like to have people who are experienced in working with science and are willing to help out. Projects are due on April 3rd. We'll have a scoring and comment period, April 23rd through 29th. And then badges will be announced on May 15th. And there'll also be that live drawing on May 15th, so stay tuned for that information. And the 21st Globe Annual Meeting will take place in July or August 2017. And as soon as we know the dates and the location for that and it's confirmed, I'll put it on the website. And I wanted to mention one additional thing here. We had a requirement for comments last year from scientists as well as students. And this year, the comments will be beneficial in adding to your points, but it's not going to be required this year. So if you have questions about that, please let me know as well. Okay, and next up is Matt. So Matt, can you put in the chat window the first 3 numbers of your phone line so I can unmute you? Okay, thank you. Okay, you should be good to go.
Hey, this is Matt.
Yep,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yep, thank
Oh,
you.
great. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about rubrics. First, we have a poll to see what grades, for the educators, what grades you teach. Okay, so it looks like we have a range, mostly high school. We've got a few middle school and someone at primary and someone at undergraduate. That's great. Look at that. So we're curious about what you're facing right now. What's your biggest struggle at this point in thinking about implementing Globe and having students do projects like the ones we were describing? Okay, so we've got responses coming in. We've got 5 responses. Okay, just a couple more minutes. We've got 8 responses. 9. Just another minute. We've got 10 so far. 11 and 12. Okay, I'm going to show the results. See if that works. Oh, it just says 12 people have responded. Yep. Let's see if I can. No, I'm having a hard time reading these, Julie, because they run off the edge of my page. I don't know if you can see them.
I can read them.
Yes, thanks.
The first one is getting the message out in a way that is not scary or intimidating to all of our schools. And this relates to the second one, too, is I am new to Globe, so I'm not sure I can pull it all together by the spring. And then also how to make a good project and not know the project has to be part of one of the Globe. Here. So those 3 are a little related in that people are unsure about how to make this not intimidating. And we've really tried to structure it so it can be a pretty simple project that a first-year Globe school can do, as well as it can be as complicated as schools want. But if students want to do something that's pretty simple and get some old data up to look at, some archive data to look at, rather than having to collect a couple years worth of data, that is definitely an option. So, and make sure you check out projects on the website already, because there are some that are really simple but powerful, as well as some pretty complicated ones. So there are a lot of options. And then there's ones about funding and acquiring equipment. There are some options to do with very minimal funding, like clouds you can do pretty much for free. Some of the phonology ones, like tree color or bud bursts, require things like a ruler or a color guide, which are pretty inexpensive. So look, there's some other options in how to do this for pretty inexpensive or free. And we can put some of those protocols on the website also, the ones that are free or very inexpensive. Then one about NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards and Weather and Climate. Yes, that is definitely a point, and I encourage you to look at, we have in our Teacher's Guide search, we have ways to search by different parts of the NGSS standards, so you can definitely look at different ways to search there. But there are parts that should help you with that part. And if you have ideas of what we can help you with in that, please let us know too. Then we have, it's hard to prioritize. I completely agree with that one. It's difficult to pick out projects and to find line what you want to do. But encourage the students to come up with their own and to see what they come up with. That can often be very creative, and go with that. And also, schools can do more than one. There is no limit to number per school of projects. So if you have different students interested in different things, encourage them to do different projects if you have the time and are able to do that. Then last thing about being a new teacher again, if you really need help on focusing or maybe a good idea to start, I encourage you to look at those other research projects, and also then you can send me an email. I'll put my email up at the end too, so you can see some of the things there. Then, so there's another question about not knowing the project to be part of GLOBE. So we do have a requirement that actually has to be part of GLOBE. So you have to use GLOBE data in your project. But as far as what you do with that GLOBE data and how you study it, that's completely up to you. If you want to do other information in addition to GLOBE data, that's fine, just as long as you have GLOBE data in your project. And then how to submit the project. There'll be more information about that as we progress towards the submission period, but it really is just a simple tool that you click in after you're logged into globe.gov, and they can add all the information. And that part is all also outlined on the GLOBE website. Okay, so I think that's good, Matt. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Julie. That is great, and thank you, everybody, for your comments. I want to piggyback on one of the comments about pulling it off. We really want to reinforce here the message to all of you is this doesn't need to be something different than you're already doing, other than making sure that you're collecting GLOBE data. But if your students are already doing projects, then participating here should just be a matter of documenting that project in a way that is, communicates well to scientists and to the field. And also to add that there are a lot of ways to participate in GLOBE that don't require a lot of equipment. Things like the cloud chart are available online. So you can just look at that cloud chart online and collect a lot of really useful data. Projects don't have to take a long time. We've had projects that come in where there's 2 weeks of data collection and others where there's 2 years. So there's the whole range, and that doesn't make the project better just because it's longer. The important thing, however, is to make sure students are realistic about their research questions. So if the research question fits well with 2 weeks of data collection and it's something you can answer with 2 weeks of data collection, that's great. If the research question is really ambitious and there's just not enough time to pull it off, give your students some guidance. Help them think through, well, what's realistic? What can I really accomplish in the time that I have? And one more thing, I'll put in a plug for working with other schools, because a great way to enhance the project, especially if you're short on equipment, is to find other schools to partner with. And maybe you can collect different data, maybe you can collect the same data at different locations, but there are a lot of ways to collaborate with other sites, and that's one of the great strengths of GLOBE, and we'd really like to see more schools working together and using the network. Oops, got on the wrong screen. There we go. So let's take a look at the rubric. So last year we introduced achievement badges based on overall project quality and optional badges that Julie mentioned with goals that teams choose. This year the badges are central to the project evaluation along with a list of elements and criteria. So we really want to foreground the badges and have students focus on the overall quality, and as well for our judges to focus on the overall quality. How clear is the writing? Is the report well organized? And most importantly, are there clear connections among the parts of the report? So if you ask a really great research question, does the data really support that research question? Do the conclusions really address that research question? Looking for the coherence across that project. And as Julie mentioned, we are hoping that we get responses to judges' comments, but that is not required, even though that's listed there as a bullet. That is not a requirement in case the technology doesn't work out as well as we had hoped again this year. But we are hopeful. And then let's take a look at the optional badges. There are 6 of them, including the new badge that Julie already mentioned about exploring STEM careers. So collaboration, again, if you can connect with other schools, that's a great way to collaborate. If you can't, even having a team, a research team within your school is a great way to collaborate, and that's an optional badge that almost every project should be eligible for, so that's one of the 3. This should say 3 to 6 badges, not just up to 6. Or up to 3, I think, actually, Julie. 3 out of 6 is what we said. Sorry.
Yes.
Community impact. Having a research question that really addresses something that's happening in the community is a great way to motivate students and make their work feel significant to them. Again, that's an optional badge, so if your project has a community impact, that's great. Working with a STEM professional. If there's a way that the students can work with a scientist or other STEM professional, really collaborating and thinking about the methods and getting input from that professional on those methods is a great way to improve students' understanding of how science is meant to be done and to improve their awareness of what's possible in STEM and what kinds of things they can do later in life. I already mentioned about the collaboration. The interscholastic connection is another aspect of collaboration. Then badge 5 is about engineering. A lot of projects tackle a real-world problem, and that's great. It's a great way to apply the science, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for students to really apply the science to solving a problem, and in particular one that has potential to impact the environment. And then the newest one is about exploring STEM careers, and we're looking for students to really think about how the project is related to that career. Hopefully, in doing this, students will actually contact someone in a STEM career, although we didn't list that for the badge because there's already a badge about connecting to a STEM professional, but those two would work really well together, and really thinking about the ways that STEM professionals gather data, what skills they need, and how results might be used in their profession. A project that highlights all of those things should pick the Exploring STEM Careers badge. So let me give you all just a minute. If anybody has any questions about the overall research badge or any of the optional badges, type it in the chat. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, but if you think of one, I'll keep my eye on the chat and go ahead and type it in. So as I mentioned, the badges are central to the project, but there still is a list of elements and criteria that we're looking for. We've simplified that list this year to make it easier for judges, and we've simplified the way that it's going to be presented to teachers and students so it's a little easier for you all to use. So for high school and undergrad, we're looking for 9 elements. 5 are required at each level: title, an abstract or summary, research questions, introduction, and review of the literature. So this is really placing the report in the context of the field in which it's set. So what is the state of the science, so to speak? The methods that the students are using, this is where you'll want to highlight the GLOBE protocols that were used. Results should include your GLOBE data, including entry onto the website, a discussion of those results, how they were analyzed, include graphics and tables as appropriate, in particular looking at the limitations of those methods. So if there's inherent error in an instrument, that's different than making a mistake, for example. Some instruments have limitations, and so we want to make sure that students are aware of those limitations. And then what are the conclusions, and as well what was cited in the review of the literature, make sure there's a good bibliography there. And then as you'll see, as we look at the other grade bands, there's a lot of overlap and just a few things different from each grade band, but the same required elements. So for 6-8, a little less emphasis on the review of the literature. That's more appropriate for the upper grades and for undergraduates. For 3-5, not thinking about having an abstract yet, but just a summary would be more appropriate. And for K2, not really worrying about the citations yet. Okay, so that's all I have about badges. Again, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat.
Okay, so next part, I have a great picture here. If Elias is still here. Oh, he's left. So this is one of our global alumni with a student from a few years ago. And I just wanted to mention here that regardless of how students score in the project, we are super excited to get all of this research, and part of this thing should be an ongoing progression of students, and they can improve every year. But I also wanted to mention too that all students are invited to participate in the the annual meeting, and we'll have funding for the ones that get selected in the drawing, but really student teachers are always invited to our annual meetings. And I wanted to mention that too. So there's not going to be a winner again this year, but we will have those ones who were selected in the drawing. And if you want to find information online, there is this URL, globe.gov/science-symposium. Try to make it pretty easy for you to actually find where it is. And then if you don't remember this part, you can also go through the web navigation. Oh, there's a question on the annual meeting. So the annual meeting has not yet been set where it is. It's going to be either in July or August of 2017, and it's most likely going to be in the United States. So as soon as that is finalized, we'll definitely share that information. I'm putting the short URL in the chat window there. But if you forget that one, you can go to globe.gov, look at news and events, meetings and symposia, and then virtual science symposia. That'll take you to the most current one. So also please stay tuned for future webinars on the K-4 projects and also more in-depth look into the badges. And that is it. If there are any questions or comments, please feel free to put this in the chat window, or here's also my email address if you'd like to contact me that way. And I know, Matt, and I'd like to thank you all for attending, asking some great questions, and participating today. So as we get this going, we'd love to hear from you more. So thank you. So we'll hang out here for a few minutes. And if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat window. Otherwise, have a great day, and thanks for attending.